So the trade-up contract is a thing which is pretty, let's say, wrongly used in the CSGO community. Many people think it's not like calculatable, so they just use it for some kind of gambling. But this is actually not that intelligent to do because let me show you an example. I am here on CSGO Stash. Many people should know this site. If not, then go get to know it. And this is the Huntsman collection. So many people would just buy the Scar Trendy Cyrex, for example, in Factory New for €5. Of course, also works in every other currency. So they spend around €50, and they either get a AK Vulcan for €80 or an Desert Strike for €5. So this is just not worth it because many people use it for like gambling. Either you get the low or the high skin. This also works with other collections or case. I think yeah, they're also called collections. So I made a calculation here. If you spend €50 and half of the time you get 80, half of the time you get €5, you make an average loss of 7.5 euros per trade up. So what this means if you would do is if you would do that like for an infinite amount of times, you would make a loss of 7.5 euro per time you do it, and that would be pretty clearly. So this is not really worth it. But what actually is a technique which you can use is you can use the the wear values. So this is a thing not many people know about. Many people think it's like random which wear you will get, so they buy just battle scarred ones and think they will get some of the other qualities. But actually this isn't true. So let me show you something interesting here. Every weapon has an wear value range, so you should probably know that. I will go to an like famous example, the AWP Asimov. Everyone knows you can only get it in field tested. So it just has around 90 or 80% of the wear value range because it's very rare to get in factory new or minimal wear anyway, so it just makes a tiny bit of the range. Every skin has a random number of its wear value range as well, and this is actually the only reason why factory news are so rare, because they only have 7% of the wear value range if it would have the full range. So how the trade-up contract works is actually pretty easy to understand. It's pretty predictable. So let me show you a site, for example. It's csgo.exchange, and on this site you can calculate your wear value for every item in your inventory. So with these values you can actually predict which quality you will get. So let me just draw something to make this clear to you. There are other people explaining it with formulas, but I will just try to show you an easy way. So these are the wear values 0 and 1. So this is just destroyed and this is factory new, best you can get. And let me at first, like, these are the conditions, like FN minimal wear, FN minimal wear, field tested, well run, battle scarred. And then you have the like maximum and minimum you can get. For example, for the AWP Asimov, these are here. So you will get an AWP Asimov of one of these values in this range. So it's from 1 to, I think it was 0.18, yeah. 0.18. So then you have another weapon, of course, which you put in. For example, the Scar Cyrex. And for the skins you put in, this is important, it just doesn't matter what the wear value range of this one is. So it could be like only FN and minimal wear, so from 0 to 0.08, and it wouldn't matter, it would change literally nothing. So for the weapons you put in, you just take the full range from 0 to 1 again, and like, let me just you have like you anyways just have the range of the exterior. So as you probably know, every weapon has to have the same exterior. So I'll just make a gap here. This is like the battle scar thingy, because battle scar makes circa half of the exterior range. So it's pretty common to get a battle scarred weapon. And let me just make 10 lines. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So these are all the weapons you put in. They all have some exterior. And then you just make the average of all these weapon wear values. So I can probably, this is already loaded. So you can see it on this page. You just hover over one of the weapons in your inventory, and then you'll see this line there, this large common number there, and this is the exact wear value. So with these you can of course add them all up, divide by 10, and then you'll have the average. And the average is, for example, here. And what you do now is pretty advanced math for somebody who isn't just that common with math. So I'll just show it another way. You have this minimum and this maximum. So you just go from this to this maximum, and from this minimum to this minimum. And everything else is like proportionally resized. So you have like 0.7 for example here, 0.7, and this is 70% and this is 30% for example. So on 70% of this range, for example here, this isn't really good, but it should be circa there. There is the where you will get, so it's X. And this is just how you calculate which exterior you will get. So now how can you make profit with that? So you have like, for example, it's just pretty hard to find examples for this, but some weapons have like a pretty they just have a range which makes you able to get a factory new one while you just put in minimal wear ones. So like for example the AK Vulcan, it is from 0 to 0.9, and if you like do the math, you know that you have to get, let me go back to this calculator page, you know you have to get above 7% of the full wear range if you have a full ranged weapon, because this is of course 7% of that weapon's range. But in this case the factory new area isn't 7% because this goes just barely in front, barely before the full range, the range of the AK Vulcan ends. So you have to get 7% of this range. So you can say, I hope I don't calculate that wrong. I think it should be, yeah, it should be something like this, 0.07777 and so on. So many people who sell weapons on the market don't really care about these exact conditions. They just put it in for any kind of price. So what you gotta get is an Cyrex Minimalware, which is of course just cost 347, and you can see here the average price is even a bit lower. But as you watch for exact wear values, which have to be very perfect, so 0.077 is just like till here, so it's just very rare to see that. And yeah, but how can you even do that? So this is pretty hard. I haven't yet found any like result of how you can see the wear value of an item which is on the Steam market, but there are people who say and even prove that they made a script which can do that. It is also, if you look at the Steam API, it's just clear that it's possible to do that, but I haven't yet found anyone who has like publicly shared a script which can do that. So of course, if you have if you're known to script languages and know how to code these, you can of course, for example, code some script which has a maximum price of like 350 and checks always all weapons which are at the maximum price of 350 till here for their wear value, and automatically buys them if they have a wear value of lower than which is lower than that. And then if you have 10, you can make a trade-up contract, and you will either get the Desert Strike, which also has a wear value range to this, so you get a factory new one. Let me just again do the math behind it. So you've lost for the Cyrexes 3.47, so let's just take a very one of the worst cases, which is like 3.47. So minus 10 times 3.47, I think the brackets aren't even needed there. And you get an AK Vulcan factory new. I think this should have a stable price. Yeah, it's about 81 euro. So in half of the cases, you get 81 euro. Oh, actually, so. And in the other half of the cases, you get a factory new M4A4 Desert Strike, which is at about 6 euros, so 0.5 times 6. So you make a profit of about 9 euro per trade-up contract, but this is like average, so you have to do many to really reach this number. So like, if you do 100, then of course you will get about 900 euro profit, but it's pretty hard to do 100, and if you do just 10, there's just a high chance that you either make much more profit or much less profit, maybe even negative. So, but the examples, and if you want to do that, you have to think about yourself. I just wanted to